Close your eyes for a second and imagine it's December 31st, 2026. The year is ending, the clock is counting down, and the noise of the world fades just enough for one honest question to rise in your mind. Did you live this year on purpose, or did you simply survive it? Because deep down, you already know the truth. Most people don't lose their dreams in one dramatic moment. They lose them quietly, day by day, minute by minute, choosing comfort over courage, distraction over discipline, and excuses over execution. Time didn't betray them. They betrayed themselves by letting it slip through their fingers. Right now, you are standing at a rare crossroads. Not because the calendar is changing, but because you are aware. Awareness is dangerous. Once you see the cost of wasted potential, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to sleep. Every hour that passes from this moment forward will either move you closer to the life you want, or further away from it. There is no neutral ground. The days will pass whether you act or not, but only action gives those days meaning. Think about how many times you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." Tomorrow turned into next week turned into next year. And now, here you are again, older, wiser, and still carrying the same dreams. But listen closely, this is not a message of guilt. This is a message of power. Because if your past was shaped by small choices, then your future can be rewritten by better ones. The same force that created your current life can create an extraordinary one. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision, a real one. The kind that burns bridges to your old habits and builds new standards for your future. Because the truth is brutal but freeing, no one is coming to save you. No perfect moment is on the way. The life you want will not arrive through luck, wishes, or waiting. It will arrive through discipline, focus, and the courage to act when it's uncomfortable. 2026 is not just another year. It is a mirror. It will reflect exactly who you choose to be. If you show up distracted, it will give you regret. If you show up disciplined, it will give you growth. If you show up hungry, it will give you results. This is the moment to stop negotiating with your potential. Stop asking if you're ready. Readiness is built through action, not thought. Make this the year you stop drifting and start directing. The year you wake up earlier, push harder, and expect more from yourself. Not because life demands it, but because you do. The clock is already moving. The question is no longer can you change. The question is simple and relentless. Will you? Everything changes the moment you decide who you are becoming. Not what you want, not what you hope for, but who you choose to be when no one is watching, when motivation fades, when comfort calls your name. Goals are temporary. Identity is permanent. And until your goals align with your identity, you will always feel like you're forcing progress instead of becoming it. Right now you may say you want success, confidence, freedom, or growth, but wanting is easy. Wanting costs nothing. Becoming costs everything. It demands that you shed the version of yourself that settles, delays, and doubts. Because the truth is uncomfortable but liberating, you will never outperform the standards you hold for yourself. Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your identity. Look at your daily choices. They are not random. They are votes for the person you believe you are. Every time you show up late, you vote for being undisciplined. Every time you quit early, you vote for being someone who stops. And every time you push through resistance, even quietly, you vote for becoming relentless. You are casting these votes every single day, whether you realize it or not. The future you is being elected right now. This is why most people stay stuck. They try to build a new life with an old self-image. They say, "I want to be confident," but act like someone who doubts. They say, "I want to be successful," but live like someone who waits for permission. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your self-concept. Change the identity, and behavior follows naturally. So decide right now who you are becoming in 2026, not someday, not after conditions improve. Decide with clarity and conviction. Are you becoming the person who finishes what they start? The person who keeps promises to themselves? The person who chooses growth over comfort, even when it's inconvenient? This decision is the foundation. Everything else builds on it. Once you choose, You must protect that identity fiercely. Every action becomes a question. What would the person I'm becoming do in this moment? When you're tired, that question keeps you moving. When you're tempted to quit, that question keeps you aligned. Identity simplifies discipline, because you're no longer negotiating. You're expressing who you are. 2026 will reward the person you consistently act like. So stop waiting to feel like a winner before you act like one. Act first. Let the confidence catch up later. Let the proof be built through repetition. This is how real transformation happens, not in a single breakthrough, but in thousands of quiet decisions that all point in the same direction. Decide who you become, and then live like that decision is final. Because when identity is locked in, success is no longer a question of if, only when. Momentum is the silent force that separates those who talk from those who transform. At the beginning, progress feels heavy. Every action demands effort. Every step forward feels slow and uncertain. That's why most people quit early. They mistake resistance for a sign to stop instead of recognizing it as proof they finally started. But once momentum is built, everything changes. What once felt impossible becomes automatic. What once required willpower begins to pull you forward on its own. Your brain is wired for this. Every small win releases dopamine, the chemical of progress and motivation. Not massive victories, small, repeatable successes. When you show up and do what you said you would do, even for 5 minutes, your brain records it as evidence. I am someone who follows through. That evidence compounds. Confidence isn't born from hype. It's built from consistency. This is how momentum rewires your identity at a neurological level. The mistake most people make is waiting for a surge of motivation before taking action. But motivation doesn't come first. Movement does. Action creates emotion. Emotion reinforces action. That's the loop. Start the loop and your mind begins working with you instead of against you. Break promises to yourself and your brain learns distrust. Keep them and discipline becomes easier because your mind expects you to show up. Momentum thrives on simplicity. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, trying to do too much is the fastest way to do nothing. The real power lies in non-negotiable daily actions, small enough that resistance has no excuse, but meaningful enough that progress is inevitable. One focused hour, one workout, one page written, one lesson learned. Do that every day, and you create a rhythm that's hard to break. Understand this. Stopping is far more exhausting than continuing. Every time you quit and restart, you pay the price of friction again. But when you keep going, even imperfectly, you stay inside the flow. This is why consistency beats intensity every time. Intensity burns bright and fades fast. Consistency builds an engine that doesn't need motivation to run. Momentum also changes how you see challenges. Problems stop feeling personal. Obstacles become signals to adjust, not reasons to quit. You develop patience, not because waiting is easy, but because progress is visible. You trust the process because you felt it work, and that trust fuels persistence when results are delayed. If you want 2026 to be different, stop chasing breakthroughs and start building streaks. Measure success by how often you show up, not how perfect you perform. Protect your momentum like it's sacred, because it is. Once it's moving, your job is simple. Don't stop. Start small. Show up today, show up tomorrow, then do it again. Because when momentum is on your side, success stops being a distant dream and starts becoming your natural direction. If you want real growth, you must first create space for it. And space is not created by adding more. It's created by cutting what's quietly stealing from you every single day. Energy is your most valuable currency, and right now, too much of it is leaking through habits, environments, and people that give you nothing in return. You can't build a powerful future while dragging the weight of what no longer serves you. Look closely at your life, not the version you post, the real one. Where does your time disappear? Where does your focus get fractured? Endless scrolling, empty conversations. comfort habits disguised as rest. These things don't feel dangerous because they don't hurt all at once. They drain you slowly, silently, and that's why they're so destructive. You wake up tired not because you did too much, but because your energy was wasted on things that don't move you forward. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every relationship, not every habit, not every opportunity. Every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to your growth. And if you don't choose what to eliminate, life will choose for you, usually through burnout, frustration, or regret. This is where courage enters, because cutting what drains you requires honesty. It means admitting that some routines are keeping you small, that some people are comfortable with your old self and threatened by your new one, that some habits feel good in the moment but cost you your future. Growth is not polite, it is precise. It demands boundaries. You don't owe your time to distractions. You don't owe your loyalty to stagnation. You don't owe your future to your past. Let that sink in. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to change your environment. You are allowed to protect your focus like your life depends on it, because, in many ways, it does. When you remove what drains you, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, your energy returns. And with that energy comes momentum, confidence, and hunger. Suddenly, discipline feels lighter, not because life got easier, but because resistance was reduced. You stop fighting unnecessary battles. This isn't about becoming cold or selfish. It's about becoming intentional. The most successful people are not ruthless. They are selective. They understand that focus is fragile, and excellence requires protection. They design their environment to support growth, not sabotage it. So take inventory, identify the habits that waste your mornings, the conversations that leave you uninspired, the environments that pull you backward. Then make one bold cut, just one. Replace it with something that strengthens you, a better routine, a better influence, a better use of your time. You will feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. Comfort leaves when growth enters. But what you gain in return is priceless. Clarity, power, and direction. Cut what drains you, and you don't just free up energy. You reclaim control. And control is where transformation begins. Pain is not here to break you. It's here to build you, if you learn how to use it. Every setback, every loss, every moment that tested your limits carried a lesson, a strength, a hidden edge waiting to be claimed. Most people spend their lives running from pain, numbing it, or burying it under distractions. But the ones who rise higher do the opposite. They face it, they study it, and they turn it into power. Think about it. The moments that shaped you the most were not the comfortable ones. Comfort never forced growth. Pressure did, struggle did, disappointment did. Pain strips away illusions and reveals truth. It shows you what matters, what doesn't, and what you're truly capable of enduring. When you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, everything changes. Your past does not disqualify you. It trains you. The failure that embarrassed you taught resilience. The rejection that hurt you taught independence. The season where nothing worked taught patience and grit. None of it was wasted unless you refused to extract its value. Pain without meaning becomes trauma. Pain with purpose becomes strength. This is where most people get stuck. They relive the hurt but never rewrite the story. They ask, "Why did this happen to me?" instead of asking, "What is this trying to build in me?" That one question shifts you from victim to architect. It puts you back in control. You stop bleeding energy into regret and start investing it into growth. Your pain contains fuel. Anger can become drive. Disappointment can become focus. Fear can become preparation, but only if you channel it forward. Carrying pain without direction will exhaust you. Using it will sharpen you. The difference is intention. In 2026, don't aim to be someone who never struggles. Aim to be someone who doesn't waste struggle. When life hits hard, don't fold, forge. Let the pressure refine your discipline, your patience, your standards. Let it teach you how to move smarter, not smaller. Strong people are not born from easy paths. They are shaped by resistance. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from surviving what you once thought would break you. Once you've been through the fire, you stop fearing heat. You trust yourself more. You know you can endure discomfort, and that knowledge makes you dangerous in the best way. Fear loses its grip when you've already faced worse. So stop hiding from your past. Stand on it. Use it as proof that you are tougher than you think and more capable than you've allowed yourself to believe. Let your scars become reminders, not anchors. You are not behind. You are built. Take everything you've been through and turn it into forward motion. Let it raise your standards, sharpen your focus, and harden your resolve. Pain is not your weakness. When you claim it, direct it, and use it, it becomes your power. Your life does not rise to the level of your goals. It falls to the level of your daily routine. What you do once in a while doesn't define you. What you do every single day does. That's why an unbreakable routine is not about perfection or rigidity. It's about creating a structure so strong that even on your weakest days, it still carries you forward. Most people wait for motivation to start their day right. Winners build routines so motivation is optional. When your actions are already decided, discipline becomes automatic. You don't wake up asking, "Do I feel like showing up today?" You wake up knowing exactly who you are and what must be done. That clarity alone saves enormous mental energy. An unbreakable routine begins with intention. You stop letting the world decide how your day starts. No more reaching for distractions before direction. The first hours of your day shape your mindset, your focus, and your standards. When you win the morning, you don't chase confidence, you carry it. A disciplined start sends a message to your mind, "I am in control." Structure is not a prison. Structure is freedom. It removes chaos. It removes decision fatigue. It removes excuses. When your routine is designed around growth, focused work, movement, learning, and reflection, you stop reacting to life and start leading it. You don't rely on willpower because willpower is unreliable. You rely on systems. And systems don't argue. They execute. Your routine must be realistic but demanding, not built for perfect days but for hard ones. Anyone can perform when life is smooth. Your routine proves its power when you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated. On those days, even minimum effort matters. Showing up for 30 minutes still keeps the identity alive. Consistency protects momentum. An unbreakable routine also builds self-trust. Every time you follow through, you reinforce a powerful belief, "I do what I say I'll do." That belief compounds into confidence. Confidence turns into courage. Courage turns into action. Action turns into results. This is not hype. It's psychological alignment. Your routine should also include recovery and reflection, because strength without awareness leads to burnout. Growth requires balance. You push hard, then you reset. You learn from the day, not just survive it. This keeps you sharp instead of exhausted. Most importantly, your routine becomes a declaration of self-respect. It says your future matters enough to be protected daily. It draws a line between the old version of you and the one you're becoming. People don't change their lives in dramatic moments. They change them in quiet, repeated decisions made behind closed doors. So don't wait for the perfect plan. Build a simple one and defend it. Adjust as you grow, but never abandon the core. When your routine is locked in, progress becomes inevitable. No matter what life throws at you, you keep moving. And when 2026 looks back at you, it won't see luck. It will see discipline. It will see structure. It will see a person who built their success one day at a time and never stopped. The most powerful voice in your life is the one you hear every single day. And it's not coming from the outside. It's the voice in your head, the one that speaks when you wake up, when you hesitate, when things get hard. That voice can either build you or break you. And whether you realize it or not, it has been shaping your results long before your actions ever did. Your inner dialogue is not just commentary, it's programming. Every sentence you repeat becomes an instruction to your brain. When you tell yourself you're tired, your body listens. When you say you're not ready, your mind looks for proof. When you repeat doubt, fear grows roots. But when you change the language, you change the direction. Words are not harmless, they are commands. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they let negative self-talk run unchecked. They rehearse worst-case scenarios. They replay old mistakes. They speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they care about. Over time, that internal criticism becomes identity, and identity drives behavior. But here's the truth that shifts everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the one listening to them. And what you allow repeatedly becomes what you believe. Mastery begins the moment you stop letting your mind bully you and start training it. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing language that moves you forward instead of keeping you stuck. Replace I can't with I'm learning. Replace I'm behind with I'm building. Replace this is too hard with this is making me stronger. These shifts are not lies, they are reframes, and reframes change emotional state. Emotional state drives action. Elite performers don't wait for confidence to appear. They speak confidence into existence through repetition. They use pressure as fuel, not proof of inadequacy. When their inner voice tries to pull them backward, they interrupt it with intention. They don't argue with doubt, they override it. Your mind will always look for consistency. If you consistently speak strength, it will find evidence. If you consistently speak weakness, it will confirm that too. You choose the narrative, and the narrative becomes reality through action. This is especially critical in moments of resistance, when you're tired, when progress feels slow, when quitting feels easier. Your inner dialogue decides the outcome before you move a muscle. Champions talk themselves through the discomfort. They don't say this hurts. They say I can handle this. They don't say I'm done. They say one more step. Mastering your inner dialogue turns setbacks into instructions instead of insults. Failure becomes feedback. Mistakes become data. Nothing becomes personal. It becomes useful. That mindset alone separates growth from stagnation. In 2026, don't just work on your skills. Work on your self-talk. Train it daily. Catch it when it drifts negative. Redirect it with purpose. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for becoming. Because when your inner voice is aligned with your goals, your actions follow naturally. And when your mind is on your side, success stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling inevitable. Your life is a reflection of the standards you accept, not your hopes, not your intentions, your standards. What you tolerate becomes your normal, and your normal becomes your future. If you want a higher level of life in 2026, you must demand a higher level from yourself, consistently, unapologetically, and without negotiation. Raising your standards is not about being harsh, it's about being honest. Honest about what you're capable of. Honest about where you've been settling. Honest about the gap between the life you want and the behaviors you allow. Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they accept too little for too long. Look at your daily behaviors. Are they aligned with the future you claim to want? Or have you been lowering expectations to stay comfortable? Comfort is seductive because it feels safe, but comfort slowly erodes self-respect. Every time you let yourself slide, you teach your mind that excuses are acceptable, and once excuses are acceptable, progress becomes optional. High standards change that. High standards create pressure, and pressure creates growth. When you expect more from yourself, you prepare more, you focus more, you execute with intention. You stop doing things halfway. You stop tolerating distractions that dilute your potential. You stop saying good enough to a life that deserves excellence. This is where real confidence is born, not from praise but from pride. Pride in knowing you didn't cut corners. Pride in knowing you showed up even when it was inconvenient. Pride in knowing you held the line when quitting would have been easier. Self-respect is built when your actions match your expectations. Raising your standards also means changing what you tolerate from your environment. Low-energy conversations, time-wasting habits, situations that pull you backward. These aren't harmless, they're anchors. When your standards rise, alignment becomes non-negotiable. You don't explain your discipline, you live it. Understand this clearly: the world will never demand more from you than you demand from yourself. Opportunities expand when standards rise. People trust, though. See who are consistent. Results follow those who refuse to compromise. Excellence is not a personality trait, it's a decision repeated daily. This will feel uncomfortable at first. That's a good sign. Growth always feels like pressure before it feels like power. But once your standards are raised, going back feels impossible. You become allergic to excuses. You feel friction when things are out of alignment. That's not stress. That's awareness. In 2026, don't ask for an easier life. Build a stronger standard. Decide what you no longer tolerate in your habits, your focus, your effort. Decide what your best actually means, and then live up to it daily, not perfectly, relentlessly. Because the moment your standards rise, your behavior follows. And when behavior follows, results have no choice but to change. Raise the bar and become the person who clears it. Waiting to feel ready is the most dangerous habit you can develop. Readiness is a myth your fear uses to keep you safe and small. The truth is, no one ever feels fully prepared before stepping into something meaningful. Confidence is not the entry fee to action. Action is the price you pay to earn confidence. Most people sit on the sidelines of their own lives, rehearsing, planning, overthinking, telling themselves they'll move once the fear disappears. But fear doesn't disappear before the leap. It disappears because of the leap. Clarity doesn't come from thinking longer. It comes from moving forward. You don't learn how strong you are by imagining the weight. You learn it by lifting. Every breakthrough you admire started with uncertainty. Every person you respect once felt unqualified. The difference is simple. They acted anyway. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for guarantees. They moved with imperfect information and trusted themselves to adjust along the way. That's not recklessness, that's Cora. GE in motion. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. It will whisper reasons to delay. One more course, one more plan, one more sign. But behind all those excuses is the same fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being exposed. And here's the irony. Avoiding action doesn't protect you from failure. It guarantees regret. Action creates evidence. Evidence builds belief. Belief fuels momentum. That sequence only starts when you move. Not when you feel inspired. Not when conditions are perfect. When you move. Even a small step disrupts doubt. Even imperfect execution teaches you more than perfect planning ever could. Understand this. Hesitation is not caution. It's resistance. And resistance grows stronger the longer you obey it. The fastest way to weaken fear is to disobey it immediately. Take the step, send the message, start the project, make the call. You don't need to see the whole path, just the next move. When you act before you feel ready, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself. You realize you can handle discomfort. You learn that mistakes don't destroy you, they sharpen you. And once you know that, fear loses its authority. It still shows up, but it no longer controls your direction. In 2026, stop asking yourself if you're ready. Ask yourself if you're willing. Willing to learn on the move. Willing to look foolish before you look capable. Willing to trade certainty for growth. That willingness is the real edge. Momentum favors the bold. Life opens doors for those already walking. Opportunities don't chase the hesitant. They respond to movement. So move. Act while your hands shake. Act while your voice trembles. Act while doubt is loud. Because readiness is not a feeling you wait for. It's a muscle you build. And every time you act despite fear, that muscle grows stronger, until one day action becomes your day. Fault and success becomes your direction. Will not change unless you do. This is the undeniable truth. External circumstances are irrelevant if you remain the same person you were yesterday. Change starts within. Transformation begins with a decision so bold, so uncompromising, that it ignites every fiber of your being. The year ahead will test you, but it will reward those who refuse to wait for life to happen and instead take life by the reins. Commitment is more than a promise. It's a declaration. It is saying to yourself and to the universe that you will no longer negotiate with mediocrity, that you will no longer settle for half measures, excuses, or comfort disguised as safety. Commitment is choosing to fight for your vision every single day, even when the world whispers that it's easier to quit. It is a choice to show up, to push, to persist, and to dominate your own limitations. This is your moment to stop drifting and start directing. The years you've spent waiting, hesitating, or doubting end here. The person you've been is no longer in control. The person you are becoming is taking the lead. That person does not negotiate with fear. That person does not make excuses. That person turns obstacles into fuel, setbacks into lessons, and pain into power. That person decides today, without hesitation, that 2026 will be extraordinary. Commitment requires clarity. You cannot pursue greatness while wandering aimlessly. Write down your vision, define your goals, identify the habits, routines, and standards that will get you there, then guard them fiercely. Your commitment is worthless if you waver when discomfort arrives. Every day is a test. Every choice is a vote for or against the life you say you want. Protect your future with ruthless consistency. Understand that this commitment is not a single action, it is a lifestyle. It is waking up before excuses. It is showing up when motivation is gone. It is saying yes to growth and no to anything that drains your energy, distracts your focus, or diminishes your ambition. The person you are becoming does not compromise because the stakes are too high. This is your life and it deserves your full power. Commitment also demands accountability. Look yourself in the mirror and admit where you've fallen short. Accept responsibility for the results you've produced so far. Then take ownership of the results you will create moving forward. No blaming, no waiting, no wishing. Only action, only relentless pursuit, only absolute refusal to quit. Make a vow to yourself, 2026 will be your year. Not because circumstances align perfectly, but because you aligned yourself perfectly with your purpose, your power, and your potential. This is more than a resolution. This is a covenant with your future self, a promise that every day will be fought for, every moment seized, and every challenge turned into triumph. Step forward now, declare it, live it, and let the world witness what happens when someone decides to stop waiting and start becoming. Your year, your life, your destiny, all of it begins with this uncompromising commitment, and once you make it, nothing will ever be the same.